This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everyone. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com, Monday, February 18th, 2019, a day that will go down in infamy for reasons you don't even know and can't even express, but it doesn't matter because I know, and that's all that's important because I am making these grand proclamations today. And so excited to have you with us. And once again, we're here with Dr. Carolyn Dean. And just wanting to say, once again, how fortunate we are to have you in our corner with us, partnering with us, sharing this amazing experience of co-creating wealth, vitality, and well-being together in an environment where it seems like most of everybody is plagued with sickness, disease, decay, decline, sadness, depression, anxiety, and here we are. We're joyful, we're vibrant, we're alive, we're happy, and mostly that is because, let me say two things. First of all, it is our will, but is combined with the very incredible wisdom, the power, and the intent of our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean, who years and years and years ago set out on an expedition to be a doctor, and not just any doctor, not just a person who would give you pills or give you surgery and tell you certain things and even make you more sick. No, she set out to be a doctor of a unique and most epic kind, a doctor who would actually be a doctor of wellness, a doctor of power, a doctor of joy, and a doctor that would respect and respond the intelligence of the body and the intelligence of nature. And that's what we have on our hands today. Not only is she a great doctor, not only is she a great and naturopath and a tremendous person, or herbalist and all these things, but you know what I discovered about her today is she is also an engineer, a designer of mechanisms, a designer of formulas, a designer of systems that give the body enablements, that enable the mind, that enable the heart to perform, to recover, and to be highly, highly successful. So we're so happy to have her here with us today. And, of course, having that incredible scientific mind, an engineer, Dr. Imagine, in one person, a scientist in one person, and then combine that with this incredible mind of compassion, of heart, of just, and so sincere, and rugged, durable. We have her here today with us, but here's the greatest thing. She's got all these gifts, talents, and abilities, and she's not going to be on this radio show as a doctor telling you, prescribing, and telling you what to do. She's going to tell you what she would do if it were you, and she's going to leave it up to you to decide about the wisdom that she offers and how you want to integrate it into your life. So very happy to have her with us this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Always my sincere and distinct pleasure to be with her and to honor her always for her incredible craft. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Once again, Jenny, you surpassed yourself. Thank you very much. My ears are burning. Everything is burning here in this frozen environment. I'm looking out over an ice rink. Did you know that?
No, I did not. You got to speak up just a little bit. You're a little muffled.
Okay. Yes, I'm on my cell phone, and I'm not usually using my cell phone, so I'm not good about where my microphone is. So, yes, thank you. I'm doing great. We do have a lot of mailbag. We have a lot of questions about today's show, so I'm going to dive right into it. Ginny wrote the blog for this week, sent it out just this morning or this afternoon, how to reset your setback. So the blog you can kind of follow. I'm going to edit a bit and add to it. It's at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And so what we are saying is that our hourly, weekly, daily message is that there are cellular building blocks that can be employed to restore hope and health and potentially avert chronic or fatal outcomes. Incomes, Ginny. There you go. We offer the same set of supplements with the same dosage to everyone because we're focused on saturating yourselves with nutrients. We're not treating a particular disease or syndrome. We're not treating a certain age group. We're treating cells, and everyone has the same basic cells. Even so, it's possible that a setback may occur. When that happens, a review of the basics is in order. And we all know we've been conditioned to believe that taking medication is the primary treatment for disease. And we take that belief with us wherever we go. Even when we go into natural medicine, we assume that a handful of nutritional supplements will alleviate our symptoms. Even though drugs never did that for us, we seem to feel that these supplements are going to cure us. However, treating symptoms is still an allopathic approach, only you're using supplements instead of drugs. There are many things about the dosage of our products, about the extra stress a person's going through with surgery, hospitalization, a person not drinking enough water, not taking enough of the minerals, that they can all impact your results. However, the basics of a good diet, and I mostly talk about a yeast-free diet if you have yeast overgrowth, or a keto diet if you want to lose weight. The basics include clean air, clean water, exercise, a positive attitude, stress reduction, and they're all just as important as the supplements. And when there is a setback, you can reset your setback by checking in with yourself, discovering what's different and what needs adjusting, because making some slight adjustment can actually restore your homeostasis and your joy. And our customer service is always there to help you. So I repeat, if you're not getting the results you desire, it's up to you to check in with yourself. And if you want help, get in touch with us at rnareset.com. What is it? support@rnareset.com. So you all know who are regular listeners that we do try to make our customers responsible for their own health. Over and over again, we kind of hammer away at that. And sometimes we get emails from people who say that I told them to do something, or who took our formulas and they didn't work, and now they, quote, blame me. And because we don't want to get those emails, we're very careful to tell people that we're not their doctor. We just make dietary supplement recommendations to support the structure and function of their body. We tell people to not go off their drugs or not even go off their supplements, and to slowly use our products. And if their deficiencies go away, they can go to their doctor and ask to be weaned off their drugs. We're always telling people to take responsibility for their own health. And we sometimes get emails through customer service from people who express disappointment in me. I used to get them before I had the complement formulas from people who were disappointed in my blogs where I didn't express their particular concerns, as if I could cover every angle of every topic in a 500-word blog. So I mostly just ignore these complaints because you can never please everyone. But this most recent email to customer service gives me an opportunity to express my opinion about customer expectations. A woman wrote, I just finished listening to the latest radio show podcast and have pretty much lost my faith in Dr. Dean and her products. Why would Dr. Dean be getting pain in her feet from simply walking if she's been taking Remite, and the rest of her, quote, miracle products for so many years? My 81-year-old mother walks 3 or 4 miles a few times a week and doesn't experience neuropathy in any part of her body. despite taking little to no supplements and eating a fairly high-carb diet. And why does Dr. Dean crave sugar and get tipsy after one margarita if she's so healthy? Sounds like she must have yeast overgrowth as well as neuropathy in her limbs. Perhaps she's taking too much Remag or Remite or indulging in too many fats. So then there's a kind of a put down of keto diet. She should read up on the dangers of keto diets. Check out Dean Ornish's latest book. He's a high-carb vegetarian proponent. Where do you get all your nutrients when you're consuming so many fat calories? Take a good dose of magnesium. Still sounds like a good idea to me, and I'll continue with the Remag. But I'm a lot more skeptical now about Dr. Dean's knowledge and her products. So I don't know how people are responding in their heads to those words, but my response is that taking the complement formulas is not a religion. It's not a faith-based system. It's a system where you take the formulas and your body responds and you observe your own beneficial results. And for myself, I have an obligation to be the best manufacturer and distributor of dietary supplements I can possibly be. I have an obligation to make sure that the words I say to my customers are accurate. I have a personal obligation to the people I work with and to make sure they're happy in taking their products. I have a personal obligation to educate the world about magnesium and mineral deficiencies and yeast overgrowth and all the downstream horrors that happen because medicine ignores these facts. But I do not have an obligation to be perfect. In fact, if I were perfect in my health, we would not be having this conversation. The only reason I engaged in creating a non-laxative magnesium is for my own poor health. The only reason I engage in trying to control yeast overgrowth is because I battle it. The only reason I continue to sort through every symptom I go through is to solve my own problems and pass on the solutions. Most recently, that's what led me to focus on the keto diet. If I have symptoms that I think may help educate my listeners, I'll share them and should not be made to feel less than or guilty because I have a contrast in my body. With the complement formulas, we have clinically proven methods of supporting the structure and function of the body. The physical and also emotional stress and strain are often relieved in our customers. We see that properly absorbed nutrients can even shift the genetic triggers that turn genes on and off. But we can't change a person's personal story and history. This would be a story that says that a doctor should be perfect, and I can't believe a doctor if they're not perfect. So just try applying that notion to every doctor you've ever met. So a person's story can be like my water terror that I developed because of an ancestral story that was passed down through the generations, or hearing the story in your family that everyone dies of heart disease, everyone dies of diabetes, everyone dies with Alzheimer's, you name it, people are saying it. And the rest of the family incorporates it into their story. Or the most recent notion that we can blame our genes for our diseases. The stories can be positive, with parents telling their children they can be, do, and have everything they want. That was my upbringing. But it was given to me along with too much sugar and not enough magnesium. The story that a person drags along with them is often negative, and this excess baggage can be detrimental, and that's why I recommend Total Biology to help you gently speculate about that conflict in your world that's causing your body to react. And you're given the conflict in order to help you deal with it. Your body is your friend. Your body's not attacking you or betraying you. It's very smart and wants you to survive. When I learned about total biology and the conflict that creates disease, I was able to understand cancer. Cancer is a conflict, and if you recognize that fact, you can let your body know that it doesn't have to create new cells, bracket, that may be identified as cancer cells in bracket, in order to solve the problem. So you're creating new cells to solve a problem. I've told the story of the originator of German New Medicine, and then a second parallel system is total biology. Well, German New Medicine, Dr. Gerd Hammer, his son was shot by a European prince, died after 3 months in hospital intensive care. There was no retribution possible. Dr. Hammer and his wife were devastated. 3 months after their son died, Dr. Hammer developed testicular cancer. His wife developed ovarian cancer. This was their body's primal attempts to create another offspring to replace their loss. So Hammer he's passed away since, was an oncologist and a psychiatrist. When he looked at his cancer patient files, he realized that his patients with cancer were all faced with an irresolvable conflict shortly before their cancer developed. So please don't put me or any other doctor or advisor on a pedestal and just wait for them to disappoint you so you can knock them off. Putting people on a pedestal actually means you're putting yourself in a less than position, which I do not encourage. Be your own doctor. Take responsibility for your own health. If your products help you, recognize and acknowledge that fact. Get as healthy as humanly possible, and even go a step beyond that and address the conflicts in your life. So that's my message for today. Ginny, I want you to leap into the fray and tell me what you think.
I think that's very perfect, very well stated. And, yes, the idea that you're supposed to be perfect is rather absurd. And like you said, especially since so much of what you've developed is because you haven't felt well. I mean, you talk about how you have to take 4 teaspoons of Remag for your heart palpitations, and you've talked off and on about all the different challenges. People in customer service, you know what? Every single one of our customer service people got on our products because they didn't feel well. I mean, Melody Rose was in her bed totally crippled from being electrocuted. When she found us and we started doing the Remag, she was on disability. And Melody Rose, oh my gosh. And that's the reason why she can be so good in customer service. It's true of all of our people, Julie, Doug, I mean, everybody, Megan, everybody. I don't want to miss anybody, but Megan, Julie, Pam, everybody is because you, me, Jackie, everybody, because we've had health challenges that we had to resolve, and with all kinds of different options, none of us is perfect. And I think it's just great. If I remember what you said about the show, you were reading the book Sugar Crush was about nerve damage and how sugar damages nerves, and you decided to do an experiment to validate the book. And you were just like, okay, is this really the truth? Like, you know, you can have nerve damage from too much sugar. So you fed yourself a bunch of sugar and your feet started bothering you. I mean, what's wrong with that? So I agree, Carolyn.
And there are decades and decades where people have abused their body. I was a sugarholic. That's why I have yeast overgrowth. That's why and I've said many times, when I do eat too much sugar, I'll get little nasal boils. And actually I wanted to mention that I found that dabbing a little Pico Silver on my latest nasal boil a few weeks ago healed it up overnight. It was really quite amazing. So, yeah, I will continue to put myself in the lab rat mode and test things and just, like you say, prove them, play them out, because I don't believe everything I read, but I will believe my own body. And anyway, yes, I just wanted to really continue to reinforce to people that we are here to work with you, to see you excel We're not here to pat you on the head and say, don't worry, dear, I'll take care of you. I don't want to take care of anybody except myself. But I do want to make things available to you, answer questions if I can, so that you can feel unburdened, because it is quite a burden now with people having disease symptoms that may be nutrient deficiencies, and they haven't been told the truth of that.
We have, yes, but yeast overgrowth. And by the way, I'm a sugarholic too. That's why last week when you were talking about that book, I'm like, I'm not listening to you, Carolyn. I'm not listening. Because I'm like, I don't want to hear any more stuff about sugar, because I am going to eat it again. You know, I love sugar. But it's not good for me. I know that. I can use the formulas, balance it out. I have to abstain a lot. When I overindulge, I get symptoms too. That's just the nature of the beast right now with all of our sugar inundation. So I appreciate everything you do. I know many, many of our customers do, and you're absolutely right. People have to take responsibility for their own health and, be partners. That's what we always invite people to. You know, I think you might have heard my testimony a couple of weeks ago, spraying Pico Silver on the fungus on my orchids to see if it was going to kill something, and it did. We're always playing around. You know, we're playing, we're having fun, we're being joyful, and we're inspiring others to do the same. Come play with us and have great health. And, you know, when you're down and you have that setback, and that's what we're talking about, how to reset your setback. You know, people have a setback.
Right, or how to reset your little experiment. I talk about doing the experiment where you indulge. I mean, we should not be made to feel guilty. Like, you know, what did Ginny do after my margarita sugar talk last week? Oh, we can't do any of that. I come over here for our, you know, seasonal meeting in North Carolina, and I get presented with this huge margarita glass. And, of course, it has to be filled up, and I have to drink it, and I do, and I love it. And I take my Realign, and the next morning I was very surprised to wake up feeling pretty great. So, I mean, we have to have fun. I don't recommend overindulgence in people who are ill with a diagnosis, on a lot of medications, and they're trying to get out of their problems. I'm going to tell you to be strict. But once you get on the other side, then you can play around. And I'm sure most people will be able to get to that point. And you may not feel like you want to play around. You know, I've spent decades avoiding sugar, and now I'm not. I mean, it's just the flow of life.
Yep, absolutely. And it ebbs and flows. So that's our invitation to everybody. Ebb and flow with us. We take it seriously, and we try to have fun. And, thank you, Carolyn, for addressing that. I think that's really great, in case, you know, other people misunderstood too. And, you know, and we, by the way, love people to write in your opinions, comments. We're not afraid of anything. Write them in. Thank you. Thank you, so we can bring it out and chitty-chat about it. Absolutely.
Right. Now, let me just jump in here. There was kind of a correction from last week, Jenny, about the Sugar Crush book. I know a couple of times I sort of said that the food gets broken down and creates sorbitol in the cells, and the sorbitol causes problems, causes swelling. But I should have been more specific that it's the high levels of glucose that are traipsing around the body that get into cells and get broken down by an enzyme called aldose, ALDOSE reductase. And they create the sorbitol in the cells. Until I read the Sugar Crush book, I didn't really know that actual mechanism of the damage that sugar causes to the eyes, to the kidneys, and to the heart, and to the nerves. And it is this sorbitol buildup. And it's interesting because sorbitol is one of those alcohol sugars that's processed by the food industry to act as a sugar substitute. I don't really have an opinion on it. I know some people use it. I don't use it. But that's where you'll have heard the word. It is a body constituent. Okay.
Excellent, excellent.
So there are 16 or so show questions that Melody Rose sent to us. I'm sure there's chat, there's phone calls. Where do you want to go next, Ginny?
Okay, let's do a couple things on the chat line, and then we'll offer everybody, if you want to call and talk with Dr. Dean tonight, 602-666-6027 is the number to call. Again, that's 602-666-6027. We'll put you on the phone with Dr. Dean. You've just got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 raises your hand in the studio and lets me know you have a question or comment. Otherwise, your phone remains on mute. You won't be able to talk to her. So I do see some waving hands coming through. So we'll take some phone calls after we answer a couple chats, and then we'll do our mailbag, and we'll have a great time tonight. How's that sound?
Excellent.
Okay. Somebody typed in a quick question. If I take 600 milligrams of magnesium glycinate daily, how do I replace that with Remag? As in, what dose equals 120 milligrams, one pill of mag glycinate? Or do I do both sources of magnesium?
Well, what we say, I don't know if it comes exactly with the guidelines. We say to keep on taking the magnesium that you're on and slowly replace it with Remag, as we describe, a quarter teaspoon in a liter of sea salted water, sip through the day. Every 3 or 4 days, you add another quarter teaspoon, and there will be a point where you'll get the laxative effect from the magnesium glycinate because it's not being absorbed as well as the Remag. It'll start to overload and then flush out through the intestines, at which point, or maybe just before that point, you start, if your stomach feels a little grumbly, then you start to wean off the magnesium glycinate. There is no one-to-one, or there's no equivalent that we can tell you what Remag is equivalent to in glycinate. It's got to do with your symptoms, because when you're taking magnesiums that aren't Remag, it seems like you can never really take enough to get rid of all your magnesium deficiency symptoms without it causing the laxative effect. So it really is a juggling that you slowly begin the Remag, and then you slowly decrease the mag glycinate as your symptoms improve.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Let's see. Excuse me here.
And let me
by the way,
actually,
yeah, go ahead.
Ginny, let me just jump in on this one. When the chatter said, or should I do both? I think the reason why we tell people to get off other magnesiums, it's not because I don't like other magnesiums, but you're never going to get saturated with a magnesium that's not fully absorbed. You are going to create, as I said, the laxative effect with other lesser absorbed magnesiums, and you don't want the laxative effect. That diarrhea is going to pull out magnesium. And I know we often highlight questions on the show from people who say, well, you say your magnesium is non-laxative, but I'm getting the laxative effect. Well, there are many reasons for that. People with IBS, people with sensitivities, when we discuss it with these certain sensitive people, they'll say, yeah, well, just about every nutrient I take, I get a detox reaction. So there are reasons, and we will address those on the show far more than we'll be talking to people who say, oh, I'm fine, I took, my 3 teaspoons of Remag, no problem. So we do absolutely acknowledge that some people do have dumping. They'll start to kill off their yeast, and they'll have skin rashes. They'll have all kinds of detox symptoms. And we just have to tell them, go slowly, do the Remag cream on your body, just slowly build up and open up your pathways for your detoxification. So we do try to help people around that, this whole business of supplementing your magnesium in the form of Remag to the point where you're saturated, where your symptoms are diminished and gone. And as I said, I don't think you could do that with other magnesiums because they can cause a laxative effect before you're fully saturated.
Very good. Excellent. Susan just types into the chat line, insomnia, ... Oh, I think she's, what does that mean, Susan? Does that mean I have insomnia? I want to know about insomnia. Will Remag help for insomnia? What's your cure for insomnia, Carolyn? What's your cure for insomnia? Let's try that.
Yeah, more magnesium, Remag, actually, Bob would say, not magnesium, Remag. We know magnesium is very important for sleep to relax the muscles, relax the nervous system, allow you to go into a deep layer of sleep. And people will say, well, it's not helping me. So we say, how much are you taking? And some people have to take more. Some people have to sip some through the day and take a larger dose at night. You have to, quote, play with it. And then, of course, we find out from Shakaya, who was on our October 1st radio show, that she had insomnia for 20 years and finally realized it was her vegan diet. She needed more protein. So there are other issues besides just using magnesium as kind of a medicinal to treat insomnia. So look into the diet, the Remag is your thyroid out of balance and causing you to be a little hyper. That means you're not sleeping. And these questions can be addressed through customer service as well.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Okay, let's take some phone calls, Carolyn, yes?
Okay.
All right, very good. Let's go out to area code 605, Rapid City, South Dakota. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could state your name and then give us your question or comment.
Yes, my name is Carla, and I just kind of got a really quick, I know the magnesium helps everything, but long story short, had a lot of health problems for the last 4 years. I mean, food was going through me, wasn't even digesting and stuff. Is this something that the magnesium and all the products that you got, which I've been on the magnesium and stuff for a month now, but all of a sudden before this happened, I started getting I've probably got 40 or 50 pounds of fluid on me. And, of course, I quit going to doctors about 1.5 years ago because, well, they almost killed me, but you know, so I'm not sure where to start because it feels like my whole body's congested. The liver, I mean, for a long time I couldn't even hardly urinate. I mean, but things seem to be getting a little better, but it's like it feels like there's so many systems, I don't know where to start.
Okay. How old are you, Carla?
46.
Wow, you're too young for that, right? So what kind of magnesium are you on?
I've been taking your Remag now for about a month.
Okay. Are you doing our sea salted water?
Yeah, I've been doing sea salted water for a long time. I had just heard about you like a month ago. I've kind of tried everything there is to try, and sometimes I get myself overwhelmed, and so then I back up and say, well, maybe I need to work on my liver. Maybe I need to, you know, I just don't know where to start anymore.
Well, and I've had those conversations over the years, Carla, with my patients when I was in private practice and now my customers. So what I ended up doing, I don't know if you've read about this, I ended up calling what you're going through total body meltdown.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, I know. So there's, what is it? Your adrenals, your thyroid, the sex hormones, it's your lymphatic system. So I don't bother saying it's one or the other. I say it's a little bit of everything all stirred up. And like you say, it's so hard to know where to start. Now, I don't just think that it's about the magnesium. You've probably read that. The sea salt, yeah, we work with that. And the sea salted water with the magnesium, and then the remite minerals that support the thyroid and the adrenals. Those minerals inside the cells are supposed to start pulling the fluid out of the tissues and then recycling it properly. Now, have you lost a little bit of water just with the remag and the sea salt?
Yeah, I also got the remite, but yeah, I've noticed that my urine, I've been peeing more, so
yeah.
It probably is that. So, well, that's
right.
good to know that it's that, because I've been trying to read all of your stuff lately, and I think I'm just starting to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, and that's why it's really nice that you phoned in and you can follow with customer service. So what I'm saying to you is what we've created is a system for total body meltdown, sort of combined all what you're talking about so that it doesn't seem so complex. And what you're starting with is getting all the minerals in your cells, and then they'll deal with the water properly, because the cells without minerals get very dehydrated. And the water, instead of being inside the cells, is hanging around in your ankles and your belly and all that. So the water's going to shift, you're going to urinate more, and you're going to start to lose those fluid pounds. And at the same time, the magnesium and the other minerals are going to help your adrenals and your thyroid. The Realign is the next one to work on, because that's got the B vitamins for the nervous system and also for detoxing and to help digestion. So it's the whole system, which is basically just the minerals and the Realign. And if you're having trouble with not knowing what to eat, we have the Restructure. And probably because of what you've gone through, how many pregnancies have you had, Carola?
I just had one, and when I had him, he was 3 months early. So after that, I didn't want to have any more.
Okay. So, yeah, you probably got trained with dealing with a premature baby. But what I was going to say is even one pregnancy will weaken the thyroid a bit, so that's where the Remite is going to support the thyroid. But then I was wondering if the treatments you've gotten, like you say, medicine wasn't too good for you, maybe there's some yeast overgrowth, because the two things that I focus on are mineral deficiencies and yeast overgrowth. So get the Realign, think about the Restructure if you need that or not. But the next thing you read is my yeast book, Reset the Yeast Connection. And that would be the diet you would go on, and whether or not you need to do some yeast detox. Because what happens if you get a lot of yeast overgrowth from taking antibiotics and different drugs that they give you? The yeast, when they go through their life cycle and they die off, the yeast create toxins, about 178 different toxins. And often it's the toxins are taken care of by the body retaining fluid and trying to dilute the toxins. So if you can get the yeast under control, then you'll lose more of that fluid, more of the toxic fluid, and you'll start feeling a lot better. So those are the two things, getting the minerals, the Realign for the B vitamins, and doing the yeast detox. Okay?
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, but you have to keep in touch with us, Carly. You be calling into customer service and make sure that you get all your questions asked, okay?
All righty, I sure will.
Okay, thanks for calling in. Bye-bye.
Okay, very good. Let's go on to Marquette, Michigan, area code 906. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and state your question or comment.
My name is Valerie Olson, and I have a question related to an 8-month-old who is fully breastfed, just barely starting foods, but 22 pounds. And what would be the safest and best way to get some magnesium into him, because he is awakening like no more than 2 hours of straight sleep has he been doing for several months. And his intense personality makes me think that there's a real need for the calming of the magnesium. But what can the Remag be used? Will it be absorbed topically? Is it better to use a magnesium lotion for a little one?
I would start with a magnesium lotion. I'm just looking up infant magnesium requirements. I think it's like 80 milligrams. Let me see, maybe even more.
Yeah, in your book, I think it talks about 8 milligrams per 2 kilogram, so.
Right. And what we know about our Remag lotion is that in the recipe, we put 200 milligrams into a teaspoon. So you're looking at a half a teaspoon on the body after his nightly bath. So you do that before bed. And you can also use Epsom salts in his bath water. Put half a cup of Epsom salts in his bath.
So if you were somehow using perhaps half a teaspoon in the morning to help with naps during the day, which are also very short, and the noticing is that he awakens when you can tell he's still tired, but wakes up after a half an hour. So if you were going to use it in the morning and at night, if there was too much given, which is the concern of the mother, wouldn't it just be eliminated in the stool?
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah, mothers use magnesium in their constipated kids to give them a gentle bowel movement.
But I didn't know if that was the case with something that's well absorbed like the Remag lotion. I thought maybe that was only the case if they were the poorly absorbed forms like oxide.
No, it's not like Remag does follow the rules. If the body is saturated enough with it, you'll get the laxative effect. That's why I often say I started out on 4 teaspoons, and now I bounce between 1 and 2 teaspoons. If I take too much, I get the laxative effect. So, and you may find that the baby does just fine on a half a teaspoon twice a day, and has just feels better and doesn't have the laxative effect because they may need that extra amount. We are only going by the RDA, which we know is too low, but we can't tell people to do more than that. But the mother can make her own decision about that.
But if the mother is awakening every 1 to 2 hours, at night, and, obviously asleep deprived after several months of this, even if she's taking 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium herself, there may be very little getting into the breast milk for this baby. And it's also such an individual thing with personality types of a little one that's very intense, very observant, doesn't, those, just the thing of teething is going to increase need, just the issue of them awakening so often, so being less rested is going to increase need. So, if an increased amount and just watching for effectiveness and not being afraid that, if they were getting too much, they will eliminate it through the stool, which is what I've heard from several doctors that I've had classes with. So, start low and work the way up and see, is there anything irritating? Like, is the lotion shea butter based? I'm not familiar with the Remag lotion.
It's got a base that, I forget what the oils are. Ginny may recall them, but it's magnesium is very hydrating. So it actually does help smooth out the skin and, you know, the little tiny, I don't know what the little prickly dots on babies' upper arms are, but mine went away when I started using Remag lotion. So, yeah, it's hydrating.
So it must be very different from magnesium chloride spray, which can be very irritating and would be too harsh for an infant, you know? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I thank you so much. We will try this and see if we can get a little one sleeping better.
Thank you, Carolyn. Yes, let us know. Thank you for calling in. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on achieveradio.com. Let's get caught up with the couple. We still have other callers holding, Carolyn, but let's get caught up with the couple of questions on the chat line that are kind of running in sync with these calls. And one of them is drinking half your body weight in water washing out your electrolytes?
No, if you have the electrolytes in your sea salt, quarter teaspoon per liter, it is not. I mean, over the years I've realized that that's really a good balance. Why I started to do the sea salt and water is in the beginning of just using the Remag, a few people started saying, well, gosh, I'm a little more constipated on the Remag, what's going on? And I realized they weren't drinking enough water. So clinically, it seems to be the right balance.
Okay, very good, excellent. And also, on terms of the laxative effect, if you get the laxative effect from too much magnesium as you're making that transition, like from the glycinate to the, to the Remag, how much should you take to ensure you're staying saturated?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that question, does that mean once you've reached saturation? Everybody's different. I had 4 teaspoons. Some people, their symptoms are gone at 2 teaspoons. Everybody is different. We can't say. That's why we often say therapeutically, although we're not allowed to use that word because we're not giving therapy. We're just giving magnesium replacement. We'll say 2 to 4 teaspoons is the average that people take. We have 1 teaspoon listed on the label just to meet the FDA requirements that, we're just recommending below the RDA. But everybody's different. I think we call it a maintenance dose. I'm on a maintenance of 1 teaspoon, but if I'm under more stress, traveling, etc., I'm going to take more.
Excellent. Very good. Let's go out to area code 304, West Virginia. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment, please.
Hi, my name is Lisa. Hi, Dr. Dean.
Hi, Lisa.
So I have a couple comments based on some of the callers, and then I do have a question. I started out years ago with Remag, and at the time I couldn't even tolerate 1 drop without getting the laxative effect. But I have a very sensitive body. I'm one of those people, and it kind of drives me crazy, but I hang in there with myself. I have food allergies. I have allergies to perfumes. I have the swelling and the edema. I'm a very small person, so I can tell when one little skosh of edema pops up. But I've been able to, with hanging in there with the Remag and just not giving up on it, I've been able to become saturated. And
wow.
I have a question on that. I've had lots of ups and downs with the Remag, just based on, the stress in life. And I had an ill father with a renal transplant, and I do believe that's where a lot of the swelling was coming from. He passed away in September, and as unfortunate as that is, my swelling has become a lot better since September, since his death. So, I mean, you can make this, or, I've made those connections with the conflict causing disease.
Right, because renal failure, kidney failure, it's your kidneys that allow fluid out, and if your kidneys aren't working, they hold on to fluid. So you were right there with your dad, tightening up your kidneys, trying to hold on to them for your father.
Absolutely. Yeah, even going through that, I really didn't think that was making that big of a difference with my body, even though I was very stressed. But after it was all said and done, I realized it was not completely, but, causing a lot of my problems. Right. I do have a lot of, lymphatic, I'm holding on to some lymph, and this is one of my questions. Just a couple weeks ago, I started cupping and blasting. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. And it seems to be helping me with the lymph drainage. I'm a very small-framed person. I'm only about 105 pounds, but I was getting the cellulite effect all over my body. So I knew that was, poor lymphatic, I needed to drain that. So, of course, I do the Epsom salt baths, I exercise, I do everything, but I cannot drain this lymph. And it does seem to be helping. Now, once I do it, like I did it last evening, the cupping and then the blasting, and I do have increased swelling today, but I realize that, it has to get out some way. And, of course, for years I've been doing the sea salted water and have my body weight with the water. And I do realize, even though I'm small, I do have to drink more water, it seems like, for me personally. And I'm very in tune with my body. But this, I guess with that one question, I hate to go on with my next one. So the cupping and blasting, are you familiar with that? And do you think that's a good idea that it continue?
Well, I know cupping from acupuncture, and the blasting, is that with that tool that looks like a star, and you scrape it over your skin?
Yes, it's like a rolling pin. It's like a 3-tiered rolling pin with little prickly things, yes. Yeah.
So I'm familiar. I mean, as long as you're not bruising yourself, certainly cupping has a long history. The fascial blasting, that's more recent. But you know what I do, Lisa, is maybe have a consultation with Dr. David Holt to see why you might be holding on to your lymph. What is the... Mm-hmm.
I have had a consultation, actually several, with him over the past couple of years. Yes. And like I said, since my father passed, I did resolve a lot of that edema.
Right. Well, then on the physical level, yes, if the cellulite has built up, it does sound like you need a physical manipulation of the area to shift it. So I would not say it's harmful. I would think you're responsible. You're not going to bruise yourself. That it should help open up the lymph. But you know what? On the cellulite level, but you know how they talk about lymph, that you use a rebounder and have very light massage for the lymph itself. So it always struck me that fascial blaster was a little too heavy-handed. I would just do the cupping, a rebounder, and just maybe castor oil packs just to be more gentle.
Okay. Last night I did it a little harder, and then this morning, and still currently, I have a lot of congestion, a lot of head and nasal congestion. So I guess I was just, it was too much detox for me. Do you agree?
Yes, that's right. What about Pico Silver, Lisa? Have you started in on that?
I used that years ago, of course, the Sovereign Silver that you suggested at that time. But here again, I go with my very sensitive body that just drives me crazy. I do have yeast overgrowth, and I've been following the diet for years, no gluten, no sugar, no dairy for years. And, it works well for me. But I realized that any antifungal, it really makes me detox.
Well,
and silver does that. I'm that hypersensitive, and I haven't dismissed it. I will get back to it, and one day it will work for me. So yeah.
Right. So what we're talking about is gently doing a physical external treatment of, as you said, the Epsom salt bath, maybe do some rubbings of castor oil in and the cupping, and go easy on the fascial blasting so that externally you can move some things around. Now, Lisa, are you the Lisa with the athletic daughter?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All righty. Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, well, thank you for remembering.
Right. It's great you hung in there. I really appreciate it. And you had more questions, though, Lisa.
Yes.
Carolyn. Okay, Lisa, Carolyn, let me just interrupt. We're at the top of the hour. So, Lisa, I'm going to ask you to hold on for just a second with that question. And we'll take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back with hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Thank you for everybody. Very active chat line. We'll get to those questions as well as our other callers that are holding when we come back from this very important break so Dr. Dean can drink her Remag water.
We'll be back with hour 2 of Live with Dr. We'll be back with hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginny Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
AchieveRadio.com. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Everybody, welcome back. Hour 2, Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. We've got Carolyn and Lisa on the line, and they're going to continue the conversation we started in hour 1. Go ahead, please, ladies.
All right. Yes, hi there again. Okay,
hi.
So years I've been off and on with Remag. Last year I became... I had overload, and unfortunately, I did it to myself. I thought I was listening to my body, and I started having hot flashes and discovered that if I took more Remag, I didn't have hot flashes. And when it was all said and done, after months and months, I was just on overload of Remag that I had such diarrhea, even with the the psyllium husk, and I was dehydrated. Finally figured that out, but I took several months off of Remag and paid the price. So now I've become saturated in the last couple of months, and I was up to 3 teaspoons and had no diarrhea. I was so happy. I could do like cartwheels down the hallway for that. But now I'm being fooled by my body, and I need you to help me figure this out. I can't tell when when I need more or when I need less because, like today, for instance, this evening, I was having heart palpitations. So my first thought was, oh, I need more, but here recently, the last couple of days, I've had to cut back tremendously because it was getting me too, I guess, juiced up, so to speak. So, and then I have the same symptoms when I have a deficiency. I'll get confused, like I get brain fog. But then also if I take too much Remag, I get the same symptoms. Well, right now I'm in the stage to where I can't figure this out, and I can't tell if I need more or less.
What are you doing with the Remite, Lisa?
I'm only, right now, I think it was causing me some diarrhea, so I'm only putting 1 drop in with my 20 ounces of water, and I was sipping that with my Remag.
Right.
But I'm not getting as much Remite now because I'm taking less over the last 2 or 3 days. I'm taking less Remag because I've become saturated.
Right. And are you able to take the sea salt in water?
Yes, yes.
Right. So I guess I'm wondering if you get the imbalance with what you think is deciding how much Remag because you don't have the other minerals. I personally would work on the Remite more. When I first started testing out the Remite, I found that I needed a whole teaspoon less of Remag because it was like I was treating my Remite mineral deficiencies with Remag, not knowing they were the other mineral deficiencies. So with that imbalance between your Remag and Remite, I put the attention on slowly building up your Remite. And I don't think we've had hardly anybody say they get diarrhea with the Remite, except maybe for people who are really sensitive to iodine. Now, you may be one of those people. I don't know.
I don't think so because back in the day before you made the Relight at the time, I was doing the iodine on my feet, and I seem to do that. I seem to be okay with that.
Okay. So that's what comes to mind right away, comparing your experience with myself and other customers.
Okay. And I know I have to listen to my own body, but should I just start out with 1 drop a day? Or, what do you suggest with the Remite?
Oh, yeah. That's what works for you with the Remag, so that's your experience. So, yeah, don't rush forward. Just slowly build it up. And I don't know what to say about how much Remag to take. It is better just to take an amount and stick with it rather than going up and down. We've found that as well.
Okay. All righty. Well, I think that's all the comments and all the questions that I have. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's just wonderful to speak with you, Lisa. Thank you for hanging in there. And, come back on the show and get your questions asked because they're very good for everybody to listen to. And the fact that you started with 1 drop and then you've gone up to 3 teaspoons, that's awesome. I guess, what I'm thinking, Lisa, because people will say to us, I know in our mailbag today we have people saying, well, if you say Remag is non-laxative, why do I have diarrhea? So what do you think it is in terms of what you've gone through? Because I know you know your body.
Yes, I think before that I was so very toxic, and which I still am. I still have a ways to go. But I was so very toxic years ago when I was doing just 1 drop per day that caused the laxative effect. And I think bottom line, my message to everyone is to please be patient. I mean, you have to listen to your body, and you can't rush it, even though, I mean, I'm just one hyper gal, and I just want everything to happen yesterday. But this has really taught me patience. So you just have to hang in there, and that's my advice. And most all of your patients, I think, are toxic. We've abused our bodies with sugar, and I was misdiagnosed with Lyme disease and had 1 year's worth of IV and oral antibiotics, and that's why I have yeast overgrowth. So everyone has a story similar to mine and yours and Jenny's, and so yes, we're toxic. And so I believe that's why it took me years for my body to just get used to the fact that the Remag was a good thing for it, and it was just cleaning me out basically.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and I'm great. But how is your daughter doing?
She's doing very well. She's in Philadelphia in her first year of optometry school. Yeah, she's doing very well. She finished her 4 years of undergrad with only her 2 knee surgeries.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, calling you from the hospital, with that whole magnesium story. So.
Right. Okay, well, give her my best. That's
all righty. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, hon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, outstanding. It's like Old Home Week or Family Week or something. That's wonderful.
I know.
All right. It's so fun. Let's go to, let's see what, we've got so many callers waiting. I want to kind of get these guys in because I know we have a big mailbag too. So let's do area code 256. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Newman, reference to the 2 callers that you had last week, I think, dealing with their insurance plans. I'm a sales rep for an insurance plan, and I'm insured by that insurance plan. So as far as the insurance company is concerned, they're not interested in pushing you off of the insurance plan. My experience with my insureds and with the doctors is the fact that they deal with so many sick people, terribly, terribly sick people. They want your presence in front of them as often as they can get it there, so that they can help guide you through some of these turbulent experiences they have. But I just had my annual physical last month, and the nurse who processed me in, asking me all these questions, she got down to the flu shot. And I said, no, I don't take the flu shot. And she looked at me and kind of grinned. She said, I don't take it either. And I find so many health practitioners that do not take the flu shot.
Yeah.
And
they see the consequences.
Yeah, and but as far as the insurance company is concerned, they're not interested in pushing you off of their insurance plan. But there's still a lot of doctors out there, Dr. Dean, whom can be educated. And
we would hope that. But see, the problem is that insurance isn't geared to cover anything but allopathic drug-based medicine. They don't cover a nutritional consultation or a discussion about yeast overgrowth or even magnesium deficiency. And until doctors are paid for doing this type of thing, they have to stay outside of insurance and take money from people out of their pockets. So it's a bad system. It's really a bad system.
Very definitely, and I continue to remind them of that also.
Yeah.
Maybe one day we'll the pendulum will swing the other way. But
there's always hope.
I enjoy going for my annual physical every year because it gives me feedback on accomplishments or lack of accomplishments, so I can kind of look at where I was a year ago and say, well, am I making progress or am I not? You know, and it's a interesting world out there to deal with, but the insurance companies, they're not trying to push you off of the insurance plan. They're just trying to get you before the doctor. So I spoke to my doctor. This is the third year, I guess, I've seen this particular doctor. Last year, I went to her and she said, "I haven't seen you since last year." And I said, "That's correct. That's by design that you haven't seen you since last year." And but I said, "I've got your telephone number. If I need you, I don't know how to get in touch with you." But they do push for all the immunizations. But my doctor, I've gotten kind of educated now. She didn't even mention it this year. So there are some out there that'll go along with you.
Oh, yeah, and we keep reminding people just, gently promote the natural things to your doctor, and they'll get the point. So, yeah, thanks for calling, and we hope things improve. Thank you very much.
I'm on your regimen, and it's done wonders for me. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Excellent. That is our good friend, yes, Mr. Newman. He is wonderful. He has been with us forever, Carolyn, as a customer. He's a very, very lovely man. All right, let's do another call from the great state of Virginia, area code 571. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
That's my area code. Are you hearing me?
We hear you.
Okay. My name is May, and I'm in Texas now.
Okay.
And I sent something on the chat line, that then I figured out how to call, and it's so much better to talk to somebody. I'm having problems with a rash. I've been on the complete formulas for about 7 months, all of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then I got a rash around my ankles, and I didn't know what to do about it. And so I tried just homeopathic creams and different things. And then I finally had gotten, the books about the yeast, connection, and downloaded that. And so I had gotten on the bentonite and the other one. I've been doing that I've been doing the two things, the psyllium, about 3 days now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but the rash has started spreading, and it's even, my back is itching even though there's no rash there yet.
Yeah.
And it's itching enough to keep me awake, or waking me up anyway.
Well,
I don't know what else to do.
Right. Well, if you're just in the beginning of the yeast detox, May, unfortunately, in the beginning, when you're starving the yeast with the yeast diet and starting to deal with the yeast, it can get a little worse if, in fact, the rash is a yeast problem. I mean, I don't see you. I can't diagnose. I'm not allowed to do any of that, but.
I had the yeast on my ankles for a few weeks before it started spreading.
Right. So what I would personally add to what you're doing is get some Epsom salts and a bath clay. What's the company? Enviromedica.
Okay. I've ordered the clay, and I have it. I mean, I have a different brand, but I have it.
Yeah. Okay, so you put like a half a cup in a blender, blend it up. Don't just put the clay powder right in your bath, but blend it up into a liquid. Put that in your bath along with a couple cups of Epsom salts, and that'll start treating the rash from the outside as well as you treating it from the inside, okay?
Okay. I will try. I'm 83, and it's a little hard for me to get in and out of the bathtub. That probably, if I take all the time I need, I probably can do that.
Yeah, you have to be careful. Put a sticky mat in your tub. But you know what you could do, May, is just start using the clay in a bucket and just do your ankles and see if that helps.
I can do the foot bath. That I can do.
Yeah. So that's where you start out, and then it'll give you the reaction. It'll let you know if you're going in the right direction.
Oh, okay. What it does for my feet will tell me if I'm going in the right way. Okay, is that what you said?
Right. Yes, exactly. The clay and the Epsom salts in the foot bath. If that starts to heal up the rash, then you know it's the yeast toxins coming out.
Okay. I'm also doing the silver, so it's like I was doing everything I knew to do, but it was going in the wrong direction.
No, I mean, that's like our Lisa said earlier. She knows she's very toxic, and everything she would do, it would start detoxifying. You're in the middle of a yeast detox, it sounds like. And if you kind of understand that, you realize, I mean, the stuff has to come out. It's not the problem. It's kind of the problem coming out rather than staying inside your body. It's coming out. The toxins are coming out through your skin. Does that make sense?
Yes. After I started, I don't know that I read and digested all of the book, but I did a lot of it enough that I figured out that's what is happening. It must be yeast. I'm pretty sure it's yeast.
Right. And then, so do the foot bath, and then, give us a call at customer service. Like Jenny was saying earlier, most of our customer service have been on a yeast detox, so, they'll talk about it with you and support you, okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for calling, May. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, excellent. We've got more callers, Carolyn, but let's get to some of these questions in the mailbag so people do not feel forlorn. Here's a couple questions real quick. Do you believe HTMI is helpful in gaining knowledge for mineral deficiencies?
HTMI, that's hair tissue mineral analysis. I don't really know. I mean, I studied it in my naturopathic training, and it was just too convoluted and too complex. You had to make too many intuitive leaps. I think the consensus is on people who, sort of stand back in a detached way from hair analysis. The consensus is it may be good for helping to figure out heavy metal poisoning. But even so, it can miss it can miss mercury in an autistic child. So I'm not that keen on it. I thought, a few years ago when people started doing it again, I checked it out, and they couldn't figure out what was going on with me because I was saturated with magnesium. So it threw out all the ratios because my magnesium was at a good high normal level. So all the ratios were thrown out, and to me, you almost you have to be very intuitive to read it, and then I don't know that it pans out. See, what I found, I'd have people come and they'd had hair tissue mineral analysis, and they had their results, and they were being told to take, all kinds of different, what I call dirt-based minerals. and they do a hair analysis after another 4 to 6 weeks, and then, oh, I took too much of this one, I have to take less. It was just too much of a game. They were dancing up and down. So that's why I just say the Remag and Remite that have a good balance of everything in not too high doses, low potency, fully absorbed ions of the minerals. You just take them and your body decides what it requires. You don't force high dose minerals on them because, oh, this mineral is low, I have to take a ton of it. We did that exact same thing in hospitals all the time. You do the blood electrolytes on someone, of course, not even doing magnesium. And it would show, oh, potassium's done. We'd rev up the potassium next day, oh, too much potassium, lower that. It's crazy. You want to take a consistent amount of something and then let the body decide what it requires. So there.
Excellent. Susan with insomnia typed back in, Carolyn, and said, yes, I have severe insomnia several years now. I am using your products 2 weeks in. How much can I use? I'm using your product single, so I imagine it's Remag. How much can I use?
Well, we've mentioned throughout the night, Susan, people can go up to 4 teaspoons, but you do it very slowly. And you use the other products too, with creating a balance in the body. I don't like people to just think of Remag as a, quote, drug for a certain situation. If someone's low in magnesium, they're often low in the other minerals as well. But slowly, if you just want to start with Remag, just slowly build it up, quarter teaspoon every 3 days. Take it throughout the day. Take an extra dose at night when you get up to, the 1.5 to 2 teaspoons. But everybody's different. You could call into customer service and just fine-tune it with them if you like.
Is there a protocol, Carolyn, for diverticulosis in your Future Health Now encyclopedia?
Kind of. There is.
I'm looking.
Yes.
Yeah, there is. Okay. Let me just answer our friend here who's asking Jimmy about, please help, I need to know about Remag and diverticulosis, how to use it. Go ahead and just email us at support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and say that you want the protocol from the Future Health Now encyclopedia, and we will copy and paste it and send it to you. Or you can download the book, the entire book, with all 165 conditions and all Carolyn's protocols from the Future Health Now encyclopedia on drcarolyndeanlive.com under the book section. So either one, email us or download the whole book yourself, and how to work with diverticulosis, and all of the products will be in there. Okay, Kevin in Kansas types in and says, what is the natural thyroid Carolyn recommends?
I don't. The natural thyroid is Remite. Most people come to us on synthetic thyroid or a desiccated thyroid or natural thyroid or armored thyroid, but the thyroid really wants to have 9 minerals to make the hormones, and it doesn't want to wait until it's all punked out and you give hormone replacement.
Tanya types in, how do you get rid of long-term infection in the body?
Well, I don't know what you mean by long-term infection. That's a very broad statement. What we do is work on yeast overgrowth, because that seems to set the stage for a lot of infections. And we make sure to put Pico Silver in the protocol, which supports the structure and function of the immune system.
Okay, excellent. Dominic types in, I cannot use sea salt. I've been taking an 1/8 teaspoon of Remag and 24 ounces of water. I can only drink a little bit of water in the morning and a little bit of water in the evening. I'm on a long-term detox of environmental toxins. So, Dominic, I don't see the question here. let us know what the question for Dr. Dean is, and then we will pose it to her and get a response for you. Okay. Let's see. Everybody else on the chat line just seems to be chitty-chatting. Marv types in and says, as a regular customer, I strongly believe that Dr. Dean will not please all the people all the time. There are most of us who are grateful for her products. As an honest doctor who believes in truth and honesty and integrity, my family and friends have been thankful for her service along with her wonderful customer service. Keep up the good work, Dr. Dean. That's a God-given gift that you have to serve with honesty. My granddaughter is shouting hooray for losing weight and sleeping so much better. She wants to tell Dr. Dean that she's now walking and taking pride, telling her friends to get on board with the products to maintain their good health. That's a very sweet thing to say. Thank you, sweetheart. Here, hold on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Getting the grandchildren in there. Awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so we can do more callers or mailbag. What would you like?
I got to start the mailbag so I don't have to answer all these emails to people. This is a bit long. I'll try to skim through it a bit. 45-year-old, listen to this, given birth to 12 children, suffering from rhinitis, swollen turbinates, like the sinuses, sore throat, esophagitis, heart palpitations, shortness of breath for 4 years, seen everybody, done everything. Nobody ever suggested magnesium or minerals or B vitamins or the amino acids like we have in Realign. Got worse July 2018, went to the ER with atrial flutter and AFib, just given a bunch of medications. She did have an ablation, but she asked the electrophysiologist for IV magnesium sulfate after the ablation, and he agreed because her serum magnesium was 1.9. She's in post-ablation recovery, not convinced yet if it even helped. Hopeful that someday she'll experience better days. So she says, I'm anxious to continue to increase my Remag and Remite, still trying to heed the wisdom of low and slow. Is it pushing it to increase 1/4 teaspoon every 3 days during this time? I think that would be appropriate. When people are in an acute magnesium deficiency state, the body just wants it. So, but you have to see how you feel, of course. She said, my potassium level rated for surgery was 3.9, low side of normal. Should I consider separate potassium or just a potassium-rich diet and Remite? I think a potassium-rich diet, what the body will do is it'll absorb as much potassium as it requires. When you look up potassium-rich foods, like the celeries and the zucchinis, etc., and potato skins, it's incredible how much potassium is in food. And that recipe is in the Remite book. Do you have tips dealing with esophagitis because you had the tube down for anesthesia? Well, that's, there are herbs, marshmallow, and slippery elm bark. I don't know if I have that in my book, but it's just soothing things. Even mild chicken soup, warm things, and it will pass because the cells of the gastrointestinal tract replace themselves every couple of days, so it doesn't last long, those symptoms. But I think that chronic esophagitis is probably things like reflux, and I think this person, Christine, listened to how we talked about, I think with Lisa, or the person that I described her as total body meltdown. This is a situation you're in, Christine. So, yes, go low and slow, which can be a 1/4 teaspoon increase in Remag every 3 days. And yes, this is what we deal with so much, the total body meltdown. So we're here to support you. Another question. recommendations for candida in the prostate, yes, are yeast detox. I have a men's chapter, and so the yeast diet, yeast detox, bent-nicillium, and the natural antifungals. Another question, started the RNA reset protocol a month ago. And here's, this question. Dr. Dean says REMAG will avoid loose bowel movements. It's not been the case for me. Do you know why? So that's where I was questioning Lisa. What did she think? That it's a detox thing. The body is trying to dump stuff as best as it can. It's like when you do the REMAG, it will open up the detox pathways. It will help move the bowels, and the body just wants to get rid of poisons. And it's not a fault of the REMAG. It's just that the body wants to dump. She said, I continue to slowly increase the REMAG in water. So maybe when taking a quarter teaspoon, she says she has diarrhea. So that's like Lisa, who had to start with 1 drop, which sounds like just too low an amount, but it is a measurable amount, 2.5 milligrams. It can be helping even that low amount of 1 drop. And she said there were areas of cramping when she started taking, so that's where the detox may be occurring. But, of course, if you get pains when you're doing anything new, it could be coincidental to something going on in your body. So you have to stay on top of your health and get checked out if you think you're having symptoms apart from doing the detox protocol or just doing the reset protocol. The detox protocol that you'll probably go on, Andrea, is going to be the yeast detox when you get this sorted out. As she says, I continue on my path to reset despite the setbacks. So areas that act up when you're on the protocol can be areas of scarring or irritation or calcification or even infection. The infection, we use the pico silver to support the structure and function of the immune system. Someone say, what's the best way to get magnesium up to the levels I need to treat diabetes? For 20 years, she's on metformin. He or she's on metformin and glyburide. Well, magnesium is not a drug that's going to treat diabetes. What I'm recommending is a ketogenic diet for blood sugar control. With diabetes, it's about the carbs that are stimulating the insulin to get rid of the sugar. And instead of doctors wisely telling people to avoid the carbs so that they don't put a strain on their insulin, they start giving them drugs. And we're not in any way telling you to stop your drugs, but look up my Reset Your Ideal Weight book. It's free at drcarolyndeanlive.com under books, and read about the ketogenic diet. I recommend Dr. Jason Fung's book, The Diabetes Code. And in the Reset Your Ideal Weight, I talk about the completement formulas and slowly building up your REMAG and your REMITE to give you the minerals that the body needs to help digest your food and give you energy and balance your blood sugar. So we have protocols for that. You have to get involved and read about them. And, of course, customer support at support@rnareset.com is there to give you either over the chat messaging or emails or on the phone to give you support. Another question, I have adrenal fatigue, been taking 2 tablespoons of REMAG for the past few months. Now, I always question, do they mean teaspoons or tablespoons? 2 tablespoons is 6 teaspoons of REMAG, which is going to cause
the laxative effect in most people. Also on Realign, did a hair mineral test, showed I was deficient in selenium, iodine, and chromium. They're all in Remite. I started to take 1 serving of Remite, and my sleep cycles got worse, so you take it in the morning. And they're asking, is this normal? Well, we don't know what's normal for every individual that takes products. If your sleep cycles are affected, then take the Remite in the morning. It could be the iodine stirring things up. If you're low on iodine, you start iodine. It will stimulate the thyroid. She said that don't have trouble falling asleep, but staying asleep is an issue. And that can be working out the Remag if you're on 2 tablespoons. So it's a bit confusing. We may have to get some input here to clarify. Another question, for the last 5 years, I've had severe symptoms. It started with a week of diarrhea, nausea, and a high heart rate with no vomiting. Now every bite I eat causes heart palpitations, terrible neck and muscle pain. Doctor says fibromyalgia, gallbladder removed for gallstones. I have Hashimoto's antibodies, and recently Graves' antibodies. That's hyperthyroid. Some people can bounce between hyper and hypothyroid. Much more, but do you have any suggestions on how to treat any of this other than the typical pain pills and anxiety meds, which I do not use? So it sounds like Donna here is new to the protocols. We probably call this total body meltdown, Donna, and it is basically slowly taking the minerals, Remag, Remite, but with this week of diarrhea and the nausea. I mean, that was 5 years ago. I imagine you don't have an infection still from that, but what can happen with the week of diarrhea is you can really drain out a lot of your electrolytes and minerals, really get out of balance. And as she says, every bite she eats causes heart palpitations. That sounds bizarre, but eating will put stress on the whole esophageal sphincter area, the diaphragms, and irritate the vagus nerve, which can then cause heart palpitations, which in my mind would indicate a severe magnesium deficiency. So can neck and muscle pain, fibromyalgia. We would go right to the yeast detox. So I would say, Donna, start with our Reset the Yeast Connection. That's a free download at carolyndeanlive.com. And that talks about using the complement formulas, using the yeast detox diet, doing the Pico Silver as part of the natural antifungals that we recommend. Next question. Question about my granddaughter's adrenal glands. She recently gave birth. Everybody's very happy in the family. I guess the grandmother of the baby said, I know the whole body went through an extreme journey of creating this miracle. What care should she take in helping her body? Well, yeah, after pregnancy, you really have to support your thyroid. So that's the Remite. You really do want your magnesium. Magnesium and zinc are lost during pregnancy and delivery. Zinc is in the Remite. The Realign for the B vitamins for sure. The Restructure if she's having trouble getting enough protein to help her with breastfeeding. So yeah, the Remag, Remite, Realign, and there was something else. Yeah, I think those would be the supports for someone who's. Oh yes, and if there's anything postpartum depression, anything like that, it would be a homeopathic Ignatia, IGNATIA,
You can look that up in my Future Health Now encyclopedia. Huge, long book, but it's a free download at drcarolyndeanlive.com. Another question. I read from you I'm supposed to take 2 teaspoons of Remag per day. I've only been taking around 3/4 teaspoons. My heart palpitations and leg cramps have stopped completely. But yesterday I decided to add enough to get to 1 full teaspoon, and I got stomach cramps and diarrhea. I'm now on my 2nd bottle of Remag. So I don't know if you took it as 1 dose or you're still sipping. She says I'm also taking 3/4 teaspoon Remag. I mean, it does. I don't know if the 1 teaspoon is enough. If you've gotten rid of your symptoms, you might just go back to 3/4 teaspoons of Remag. Make sure you're putting it in a whole liter of sea salted water and sipping through the day. And then you might try in a week or so to go up to the 1 teaspoon sip through the whole day. And you're not doing anything wrong. I can't say whether or not you're saturated, but as you say, your symptoms are gone. But see how it goes with sipping through the day and adding a 1/4 teaspoon, or maybe just add an 1/8 in a week and see what that does. Yeah, it's hard to say whether a teaspoon is going to be enough because it's only 300 milligrams. Someone is saying every time I go to give blood, my hemoglobin is too low. Can you suggest a good iron supplement? Just email in to support@rnareset.com, and we can recommend a liquid iron supplement that's well absorbed. If it's an iron problem, you really should go and get tested to see, why do you have low blood? Are you still menstruating? You should not take iron unless you really do have an iron deficiency. We're getting through these nicely. I'll continue. My question is heart failure and disease truly hereditary or individually determined by our environment or empowering epigenetics? As heart disease flows throughout my family from my parents, this is what I was talking about earlier in total biology. Are we just taking on their story? My thoughts balance on an inclusion of both genetic, hereditary, and epigenetic. Could you present your thoughts? Ordered your products, waiting to jump into good health. Yeah, it's this is from Gloria, and when they say it's hereditary, what if magnesium deficiency is running in the family, for Pete's sakes? So that doesn't mean it's genetic. It just means there's this huge nutrient deficiency going through the whole family. So it'll be interesting to see how you react to the supplements and saturating with magnesium. Person says in the next question, couldn't sleep last night, felt a surge. Was it adrenaline, internal shaking? Felt bad while my eyes were closed behind my eyelids. It was like I could see things flipping. I was crying, lasted 30 or 40 minutes. So that's like a panic attack. Tried sleeping, heart was pounding and racing, finally got to sleep. Is this an indication of low magnesium, Hashimoto's, hyper or hypothyroid? Yeah, it could be a little bit of all that, but it's likely the adrenals. And she says next, I've been working on healing my adrenals since 2013. Sleep is still an issue. I don't know if you're on any of our products, but this is kind of what we call a total body, kind of a total body meltdown. Yeah, when you have the heart reacting and the adrenal history, then it's a matter of supporting all your systems with the minerals, with the realign and restructure as well if you can. Next question, 76 years old, high blood pressure that fluctuates drastically. First reading in the morning, 155 over 60. After counting up to 10, second reading, 140 over 58. So this
the bottom number is just fine. You do not want to take a blood pressure drug when your bottom number is so low. But the top one implies, that's what implies the tightening of the arteries and the blood vessels. It's like pushing its way through. And she says, I was diagnosed with heart valve stenosis, developed kidney problems, stage 1. That can be calcification of the valve, creating stenosis, calcification of the kidney arteries. So to me, that's a magnesium deficiency. Has thyroid problems, low sodium, sensitive to salt and sodium. Taking Remag, Remite, and Pico Silver. I have not checked out my heart valve. Taking a blood pressure drug, which might not be a good idea with that low bottom number, the diastolic. It is possible that the Remag is sorting out your blood pressure, and continuing to take the blood pressure drug is causing its fluctuation. So please go to your doctor and see about weaning off your blood pressure drug. I'm being very direct here. I'm almost telling you a medical thing, but I think it's important to get that checked out, because you don't need to have a low diastolic. Also on levothyroxine 75. Yes, the levothyroxine 75 may be too much. Being on the Remite, you're going to be producing your own thyroid hormone, so you'd have to get that, the blood test for your thyroid. You may not need so much levothyroxine. Okay, and next question. Been using Remag, Remite for a while now. Grateful for them. Recently discovered I'm likely EMS, electromagnetic frequency sensitive. Anxiety, depression, heart palpitations, ringing in ears, all symptoms of hypersensitivity, trying to minimize exposure. Okay, hard at times to get enough magnesium to help with symptoms and not end up with diarrhea. So that's where we tell people to do the Remag lotion as well, and maybe even add Epsom salts baths for total body skin saturation of the magnesium sulfate. And then she says, I understand that magnesium is a calcium channel blocker and that EMF floods the cell with calcium through the voltage-gated calcium channels. Yes, I wrote about that in my Magnesium Miracle book, the 2017 edition. So that's why I believe that magnesium does help people with EMS. But you're right, Debbie, you do have to get at the source and try to avoid it. Just a couple more, Ginny. Regular listener, using your protocol, aiming for optimal health at 57. She wants to know about adding Remag lotion to a body lotion, Remag liquid to a body lotion. What's the ratio? Well, it's whatever the lotion will support. I guess if you get enough body lotion in your blender to go over the top of the blades, you'd have that measured amount, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 ounces, and then slowly add the Remag and measure the Remag you're adding, add it from a measuring cup. Each teaspoon has 300 milligrams. You saturate as much Remag liquid into the body lotion as you can, but keep your measurements so you know how much you're getting. Or you buy a Remag lotion. And then,
yeah, I was going to say, Carolyn, I have to butt in and say, yeah, good luck with that. We've spent so much time formulating the Remag lotion. If you could just whip it into some kind of a lotion base, we would have done that a long time ago. Remag does not play well with others, and it is not going to mix easily into anything. You are really better off to use the Remag lotion so you know for sure in every 3 pumps you're getting 200 milligrams of Remag, because you want to be able to control your dosing. Otherwise, you're going to mix it up, and you don't know what you're going to get, and it is going to separate on you 100%.
Oh, okay.
Then there's a number of other questions. I think I'll answer that off by email, and that's that. We're done.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. 602-666-6027. I think I have a caller here that we haven't gotten to this evening. So let me look at that. Area code 917. Did we speak to you yet tonight?
No. This is David from New York.
Hello, David.
Oh, hi, David.
What can we do for you?
Hi, how are you? Dr. Kelly, I heard you today on a ketone diet, and you mentioned overworking the pancreas. Also, you mentioned today that the pancreas produce insulin to push the sugar into the cell for energy. And so my question will be, if you go on ketone, and I'm not coming from ketone diet because I'm on a low calorie, low sugar level and all that. If you go on ketogenic and you is the pancreas not involved in taking care of fat and protein?
No, the pancreas does. Well, there are two sections of the pancreas, actually, David. One produces insulin, and that just deals with glucose. And the other part of the pancreas does produce enzymes that break down protein. And, yeah, I guess there's a fat breakdown function, too. But it's two different parts of the pancreas. Good point.
So the pancreas would be the reason I'm asking this question, because in the past I used to eat all day small meals all day, and one day it hit me, and I said, "My God, I'm overworking my pancreas all the time, especially since I lost my sister to pancreas cancer." So I start to get worried, and that's why I'm asking this question. And now about carb, a question about carb, if you don't mind. Is complex carb considered as a good carb, or I'm not talking about
the same. No, I mean what the complex carbs will do, David, is they'll have half of it will be break down into glucose sugar, the other half will be fiber. So it's not as bad as a straight sugar.
Yeah, okay. So, it's not bad as simple carb. Okay. I got it. I should know it before, but I just... by the way, question, are you familiar with Dr. Donald Kelly, the dentist from Texas?
Yeah, but I don't want to go into that. We only have a couple minutes late.
I know. You gave me some sign that you're familiar with that, so that's why I asked. That's all. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
That make me more liking. It may make me more liking you.
Oh, thank you. You're such a charmer. Bye, David. Talk to you next time.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you very much.
Good night. You're welcome.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think that is a very robust and well-rounded show, Carolyn. My goodness gracious. I think we talked to just a bazillion people and had great mailbag and lots of great chat line interaction. It's very exciting. Anything you want to say in the last 1 minute and 33 seconds?
Oh, yeah, great show. I kind of like the way we're running this, where we take the calls a little earlier, and I hit the mailbag with a running start toward the end, and I go a lot faster because I know the time is ticking. So I think it's working out well. So, perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. And so next week we'll...
Now, I'm flying on the Sunday, so I'll be home for the Monday if you want to do a show next week, Ginny. Up to you.
Okay, totally willing to do the show. I just didn't know the timing of when you were going to be landing and this and that. But if you're going to be there and we're going to be, we'll do it.
Okay, we're doing it.
All right, we'll do it. And do we want to say hi to Bob?
No, don't bring me into it.
Hey, hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Hey, nice to talk to you guys. Nice to hear from you.
Thank you. How did we do tonight, Bob? How did we do?
I didn't check yet.
Oh? How do you check?
Too busy. By checking with Bill.
Oh, I didn't mean that, but I thought it was a good show, too.
How'd you do? Oh, excellent. Excellent show. Very good show.
Thank you. Okay, Bob gave us the all clear. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Ginny. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, listeners. We appreciate you.
Very good. All right, and thank you, Bill, our producer, and thank you, Bob. And we have 39 seconds to go. What else can we say? Oh, and thank you to our audience, and thank you to customer service and all the wonderful things that they do. Thank you for everybody. Yep. And Tanya said, this is fantastic. I will formulate my issue more succinctly for next week's show. Thank you so much for all you do. But, Tanya, don't wait if you don't feel well and you're trying to deal with something. Go ahead and email us at support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com, and just say that you missed the show and you've got this question for Dr. Dean, and we will get it to her, and she will respond during the week. Don't ever wait on your health just for our radio show. We're there 24 hours a day, 365 days a week. So always communicate with us ASAP. Right, Carolyn?
Excellent. That's wonderful. And it's not that we have to be there to tell you what to do. We're just telling you to support your own advancement with your own health. And
take back your power. Take back your power.
That's right. That's right. Take your power back. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Good night, Ginny. And thank you all. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Bob.
Well done, Ginny.
Thanks, Bob.
Well done.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.